Call to order, please. And before I do a silent prayer, I want to also, um, make a notification about Mayor Stavicki from Grosse Pointe Woods, and he passed. And just to say, how sad we are about the passing of him. And he was mayor since 1990, I think November 1990. A very active, always concerned about Harper Woods. So we have lost a friend and a colleague, and I just want to add him into our silent prayer. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
visible,
liberty and justice
liberty and
for
justice
all.
for all.
Roll call, Mrs. Franks.
Mayor Kindle, and
Present.
okay, and please remember to state that you're attending virtually and where you're located, please.
Yes, ma'am. I present attending at City Hall in Harper Woods.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Costantino,
Present and attending virtually from my home in Harper Woods.
Councilwoman Lyons,
Present and attending virtually from Harper Woods.
Councilwoman Pies,
Present, attending virtually from Harper Woods.
Councilwoman Sawicki,
I'm here and attending from my home in Harper Woods.
Councilwoman Williams,
Present and attending from my home in Harper Woods, virtually.
Councilman Toussaint,
Attending virtually from my home in Harper Woods.
Acting City Manager Szymanski,
Present.
City Attorney Diwali.
Here.
Okay.
Okay. We have a presentation today from a representative, Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence. And we also have a presentation from the Michigan Independent Citizen Redistricting Commission. So first of all, we'll ask Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence to join us.
Madam Mayor, I don't see her on the line.
Okay, shall we move on and allow the Michigan Independents to make their presentation? Are they on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
I
Good to
can't see myself, but I am here. Okay, there.
Okay.
I hope they can see me. How are you? Do you all have, I was told that you have my presentation, so whenever you're ready, you can pull up the slides.
Okay.
I was not given any slides to have on the screen tonight.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me get those for you then. I'll share my screen.
Okay.
One second, I have to kind of get everything together. Okay, let's do this.
Okay.
Can you all, I have to, oh, wait a minute. I have to do it a different way. I apologize. I was told that they were sent and they weren't. It's okay. do it that way. It is still not. Let's see. There we are. Having some technical challenges.
I was gonna say, why don't you share your screen? I'll see if I can assist you on getting it full screen.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do it that way. Okay, so I'm gonna drag this over, but I need to, everyone. Mm-mm.
Can I
Okay.
ask if, oh, there you go.
We should be in business now. Can everyone hear me and see what's on the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so good evening. My name is Brittany Kellum. I serve as the current vice chair and member of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission, also known as the MICRC, and I reside in Detroit, Michigan. I'd like to start by extending a warm thank you to Mayor Valerie Kendall and members of the Harperwood City Council for the opportunity to provide public comment about the MICRC. I'd also like to express gratitude for City Clerk Leslie Frank for coordinating this brief presentation.
Yes.
So in 2018, Michigan voters passed Proposal 2, a ballot initiative for voters and not legislators to take responsibility for nonpartisan redistricting, and created the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission, again, the MICRC, it's a mouthful, comprised of 13 randomly selected Michigan residents that include 4 Democrats, 5 independents, and 4 Republicans. The MICRC is responsible for redistricting the U.S. Congressional, Michigan House, and Michigan Senate districts. To ensure fair, free, and impartial maps, the MICRC is required to solicit public input before drawing any redistricting plan for the Michigan House, Senate, or U.S. congressional districts through a minimum of 10 public hearings across the state. Per the Michigan Constitution, the purpose for the public hearings are: inform the public about the redistricting process. Number 2, share the purpose and responsibilities of the commission, like we're kind of doing now. And 3, solicit information from the public about potential redistricting plans for U.S. congressional, Michigan House, and Michigan Senate districts. We welcome your ideas, as well as the ideas of your residents, to increase awareness and engagement in Michigan's redistricting process. So if you have any thoughts or ideas that you'd like to share, please email them to us at theredistricting@michigan.gov, or you can put in the snail mail, and there's our PO box and address as listed. And to learn more, or share them at our weekly meetings as well. I want to make sure I add that on Thursdays during public comments, or you can come and speak when we have our upcoming public hearings. To learn more about the MICRC or the upcoming public hearings, please visit www.michigan.gov/MICRC. Thank you so much again for your time and being patient as I navigate the challenges that I was having with technology. And thank you again for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
I don't know if we have an opportunity. I want to check to see if Congresswoman Lawrence is on the line yet. If not, maybe we can answer a few questions if anyone has any questions. I see.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
one question I had is whether the MICRC is now a complete board. I mean, they're not looking for anything other than public comment. Is that correct?
Correct. So in terms of the seats, that the 13, we have our 13 for sure.
Okay.
Thank you for that question.
Good, thank you.
Is there anyone else that has any questions of,
Yeah, I do.
yes, Councilwoman Pies?
I know currently prison populations count as populations when considering congressional districts and funding for those districts. Is there, how's that going to be addressed, or is that just something you can take as a comment and keep that on the
I'll
books right
definitely
now?
take it as a comment. We are genuinely and seriously considering special populations. As you know, folks have been vocal in public comments as well, as they should, in terms of different things that we need to think about. So I believe myself, along with the rest of the commissioners, are going to do our due diligence in making sure that we not only speak to those populations, but really make sure we do a fair and just job in how we're thinking about remapping. Thank
Okay.
you for that question.
No, it's some prison populations are larger than the population of the city, and they get the funding even though the prisoners don't have voting rights or actually participate in any of actions outside of the prison. And
Yeah, that's
and
something
so that
that
affects
has,
our
oh,
funding.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that affects our funding than what we get for our services.
It's definitely something that, you know, other commissions have presented to us about, and we have listened to in terms of, we have kind of like our own PD where they educate us on the process and things to think about. So that's definitely something that's in our purview.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello, this is
What-
Nancy Courtney. I represent the Detroit Area on Aging 1A in Detroit, and I would like to know how we could get access to your slide that has the contacts on it. I have a board meeting coming up, and I will share it at my board meeting.
Thank you so much. First of all. Second of all, I will immediately reach out to our community outreach director and see if that is something that you can be handed over to. And then I'm sure that him and Leslie Frank will get together on how to get that to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that sufficient?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Madam
Thank you
Mayor?
so- Yes.
One quick question. What timeline, what are we looking at for an end product? When do you expect to have this done?
We don't know that yet. I can't speak to that. I will, you all will definitely be in the know and any updates because it's going to take a collaborative effort to get this done, definitely by the commission and the community.
All right. Well, we want to thank you because Congresswoman is waiting in the wings now, and I don't want to keep her waiting.
I don't
So
either.
thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your time. And
Thank you. It was an honor.
it
I've
it was
had
an
my
honor
hand
to
up
meet
for a
you.
while, Madam Mayor.
Excuse
I-
me?
My hand has been up for quite a while.
I'm sorry. I did not see your hand, and if it's a very quick question, because as I say, Congresswoman is waiting in the wings.
Okay. Where did our speaker go? Let's see,
Just go ahead and speak.
Okay.
I'm here.
The first thing, first of all, I'm very excited you guys are doing this. Secondly, I hope that there's not going to be any dramatic gerrymandering like the 14th district now. But my real question is about the last census. Do we have the information that you need to be able to go forward? Or are you guys just going to come up, are you going to work on your plan anyway?
Our legal counsel and the proposals that we sent, the RFPs, hopefully are going to be able to handle, get us the information that we need, because obviously we want to do a good job and we want to do it accurately. And we are very aware of the gerrymandering, and it's our goal and intention to create fair and just mapping, especially, you know, with everything that has gone on. So it's not our intention to recreate that pattern.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
You do the same.
Thank
Brittany.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, without further ado, I want to bring on Congresswoman Lawrence. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you
Hi.
see me?
How are you?
Hello. How are you?
Good, good. All right, Congresswoman Lawrence, the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to you, Mayor, and to all the members of the council and administration of Harper Woods. I want to thank you for everything that you do. You know, we go to Congress and we pass laws, but you know, with me having the history of being a mayor and city council member and being on a school board, I know that the rubber hits the road in your hands, and what you do protects communities, and collectively, as all these communities thrive and the citizens' needs are met, that's what makes America an amazing place to live. So good evening to everyone, and to everyone that's listening over this Zoom meeting. I'm grateful to join your city community meeting, and a lot has happened in Washington, D.C. Just this year, we went through an insurrection, we went through a impeachment, and an inauguration. So a lot of things have changed. A lot of things with all of the immunizations and the pandemic, we have been just really just stripped down to our core of who we are and what will we do about it. But I'm excited to say that the American Rescue Plan Act passed the House and the Senate, and it was signed into law, and help is on the way. Some of you have already personally received stimulus checks, which will, we hope, will stimulate the economy, will allow people to take care of some of the many things that have happened over this pandemic. And that will just really put I call it, give you a bridge over troubled waters. Expanding the child tax credit, which will literally cut child poverty in half. Scaling up the vaccines and the testing efforts. You all know that with a partnership between the President of the United States, FEMA, our governor, Ford Field, City of Detroit, Wayne County, and the Detroit Lions and Myers, there was a collaboration to open a statewide immunization center, which was Ford Field. They had some glitches today with the online registration, but don't stress about that. We'll fix it because we are going to move forward with this. What's so amazing about Ford Field, that it will be from 8 in the morning to 8:30 at night, 7 days a week. And the goal is to administer 6,000 vaccines a day. And it will be at no cost, no insurance is required, and there will be free parking. So
Wow.
in the past, you know, we were challenged because everybody had their jurisdiction. You know, if you lived in Harper Woods, or if you lived in Wayne County or Oakland County, then you got certain areas that you could go. Under this new plan, you will be able to get tested regardless of where you live in Michigan. So we're so excited. We know it's needed. Another thing with the rescue plan, I'm so excited about, is $130 billion for our schools. We know that we've got to get our children back in the classroom. We know that our children have been disproportionately impacted by this virus. We know that in order for our schools to safely reopen, we had to vaccinate our teachers and our teachers, and we know that we have put them in the front line, and teachers are able to go get the COVID shot. In addition to that, we know that we have to address ventilation in the schools. We're going to have smaller classes. So all these things have cost to them. And so we're so excited that the school districts will be getting direct money. We also know that this pandemic has had a hard impact on small businesses. And so there's a $7 billion in additional funding for PPP loans and expanding the eligibility, and also $25 billion for EDO loans and support for small businesses, particularly women-owned and small businesses owned by people of color. I want you to know that for you, this is something that you should really pay attention to. $350 billion has been given to our state and local governments. We know that our city budgets are hanging on by a thread, that so many resources are being asked of our community that weren't budgeted for. And I know, like, I can give an example of Southfield. The police department initially was hit hard with COVID, and over time, at a rate that was not planned for, hit the budget hard. We know our EMS calls went up. We know that the calls for services in our community was hit hard. And so we are sending money. You should be able to, I will be able to send to you how much money that the city of Harper Woods, as a matter of fact, the 14th district will be getting over $900 million, including $1.36 million for Harper Woods.
Woo, thank you.
While our counties will be getting more than $583 million. So as a mayor, I know for a fact, this is money that is not going to be wasted. It's money that's needed. Now you have to use it on costs that were directly related to COVID, but I know that the need is there. And so I'm excited to say help is on the way, promises made, promises kept. And so our city budgets, we're looked at those as well. And so what I want to bring to you is that we have been working on legislation. Give you an example, voting rights, gun control. And so when I say gun control, some people start bristling up and say, wait a minute, you're taking away my guns. Absolutely not. 80% of Americans say that we should have background checks and you should be registered to own a gun.
Yeah.
And when anyone pushed back on that issue, I will tell you, to own a car in America, you must have a registration and you must take a test for a license to prove that you can operate a car. Why wouldn't we have the same restrictions, or not restrictions, requirements for a person to own a gun? You should be able to prove that you're not a felon, that you're not a person who is have a restraining order for domestic violence, all these things, because guns, there's only one reason for them, and that is to shoot and kill somebody. And so to say that if I as American choose to have a gun because I want to use it for protection, I absolutely have that right and I will protect that right. But when you say you want a gun, we want to make sure that you get a license for that gun, so it's registered to you, just like we do a car, like we do a boat. Like if you want to go hunt in America, you have a hunting license, a fishing license. Yeah. It's no different. And that if you have a gun, that we not only do that, we will do a background check to ensure that you're not mentally classified as mentally ill, because so many of these mass shootings have been in the hands of people that their family would say everybody knew that he wasn't stable. So it's a step in the right direction. Violence against women, it has not been renewed. We know that during COVID, domestic violence calls and cases have gone through the roof. It's real in America. We need to protect and have laws that will protect women from domestic violence. We are voting on an immigration bill this week coming up, where we're going to be talking about those dreamers, those children by no fault of their own, not the people who are coming to the border. Their parents came to America. They were born in the United States. They've lived here. And under President Obama, he said, okay, we're going to identify you. And if you go to school, if you go to the military, or if you enlist in doing public service, we will allow you to stay here. But we never address how do they get a pathway to citizenship. We'll be voting on that next week. promises made, promises kept. We also are going to be voting on, we've already voted on gun control, voting rights. But last week, we also voted on the George Floyd Community Justice Policing Act. So, ladies and gentlemen, we know across the country, and Harper Woods was not exempt, where there were protests, where people around this country, every single state in America was exposed to cries from the streets, from protests, from individuals saying that at this time in America, it's unacceptable that we see people being killed and by police officers. Now, I'm a former mayor, so I will tell you, I could not have done anything without a trained professional police department that's protected our city, that ran to danger when others were running away, that performed all the community policing jobs that we needed. We need a strong and protected and respected police department. And what the George Floyd bill does, it says that police officer must be trained. Now, there are some police officers that get trained as a rookie, and 20 years later, they have not received any updated training. And we know that as communities become more diverse, they become culturally infused with different ethnic groups, that we need to ensure that we're training and setting a standard that's saying anyone that police this department will respect and protect the diverse groups in our community. You do that by training and then through accountability. So if you're constantly getting complaints about excessive force or racial discrimination or profiling, that it would be kept in a national database, that you can't just like quit if your city says, we're not going to allow you to police in our department anymore because your behavior is not upholding to the standards that we keep in this city of being an inclusive city. And they take their badge and go to another city without any record of all the complaints, then the profile that they have established, that profile will be kept by on a national level, and any place this police officer go, their record will go with them. Body cams. Now, what's important about the George Floyd Act, I know for a fact, I know when I was mayor, tasers was a big deal to me, because if a police officer doesn't have any other way to apprehend a criminal or a person who is being violent other than a gun, they're going to shoot and kill somebody. But when you equip them with a taser, when you equip all police officers with a body cam, it protects not only the person who's being apprehended, but it protects my police officer. So if somebody wants to tell a lie on one of my officers, the body cam will show that they did not do anything improper, and that it protects both sides, and that we feel strongly that every person who is wearing a badge should be using a body cam, and we need to provide funds to our cities to make that happen. And if you want to have more discussion about that and to talk about the positive and the negatives of the George Floyd Policing Act, I'll be glad to have that conversation with you. I'm going to close with this. We have been through so much. Small cities, large cities, individual residents of this great country. I, as a member of Congress, have been through more than I ever thought I would have to go through in just these first 3 months. But we're still the United States of America. I still believe in this country. I still believe that, and I know throughout our history we've lost our way, but because of our democracy, because of our values as a country, we've always been able to come back together. And I truly still believe that. I still believe that we as a country can embrace the beautiful mosaic of our diversity and our ethnic groups and live together and be respectful of our religions and our cultures. I still believe that we can invest in a infrastructure that will include all people. we won't have rural areas without broadband, or urban areas that they can't afford to have internet, and our children are being left out of the circle of education, not because of anything they did wrong, but because of poverty. I still believe that we can invest in an infrastructure of water that will be clean, that will be safe, and it'll be affordable. I
Yes.
still believe that we can electrify our entire fleet of automobiles in this country, or we'll stop using this large carbon footprint polluting our earth, that we become global citizens. And I still believe in one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for this time. And if it's up to you, Mayor, if you want me to take any questions, I'll be willing to do so. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Councilwoman Sawicki, you had your hand up. And then-
Real question, and that has to do with the HR1 with the voters registration.
Yes.
And just a little information from Congresswoman Lawrence about that particular bill. If she could explain what it calls for. It sounds like it's what we need in our country so that we can guarantee voting rights to all Americans. And so if she could just give us a little insight to that bill.
Thank you for that. So we all know what we went through the last election, and we learned a lot of things. We learned when you make voting more accessible, more people vote. Am I breaking up? Am I okay? When you have more people voting.
Okay. Bob, can you mute everyone but the Congresswoman?
All right. Do you want me to include yourself as being muted?
Yes, do that, and then we will unmute because Cheryl Constantino is the next person. Okay.
So it has shown that sometimes, and I'm not going to debate you here on why this happens, but sometimes governments will pass laws and rules that has an adverse impact. Like Iowa just voted to shorten the day for Election Day. For the life of me, I cannot understand what value does that add to creating a democracy that is hinged upon the freedom and the right and accessibility of voting. We had some that said you cannot put those collection boxes in the city. They said that you cannot count your votes prior to Election Day. So many different things that I will say equates to voter suppression. Also, they're looking at what we're starting to do in Michigan when it comes to redrawing our boundaries for our districts, making it a nonpartisan practice, policy or responsibility versus having it to be done by whoever's in the power that will draw the seats to look like them, and so therefore will create a stronghold on who controls the House in all these different states. So it is really it's really a time where we must step up and address our voting rights. And so you know that the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act, and we called it John Lewis because he fought and almost died for voting rights. And the Supreme Court said it was up to Congress to pass a law that will require, if anyone is changing, like I'm going to reduce the number of hours. In Alabama, I think they took all of the Secretary of States where you can go register to vote. They took them out of all the poor minority cities and left them only in the wealthy, more white cities in the state. And then they closed at 5. So if you're working and you want to register to vote, you didn't have access to the Secretary of State. So it's things like that. If you're going to do that as a secretary, as a state, then you need to send a letter to the Department of Justice for them to validate what your reasons are. Do you have legitimate reasons? I mean, I asked the question about Iowa. What is the value of shortening the day for people to vote? When people work all kind of hours, you have issues with public transportation. Why wouldn't you keep it open longer? So those are things that this bill will do, and I'm so glad we did it.
Councilwoman Constantino, you have a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. I wanted to know if there's a way that, if it could be in this legislation or whatever, that we would be able to share information with other states in a timely fashion. For example, if someone switches their voter registration from one state to another, and they vote in one state, how would we find out if they're voting in another state or what have you?
They already.
That is something I can't give you the answer to today, but I will get an answer for you, make sure the mayor gets and be able to share it with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that have their hand up?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Lyons.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Lawrence, and thank you so much for coming here tonight. I'm actually very excited to see that the George Floyd Community Justice Act is something that is being considered, and that it is, I think, a really great thing to come out of such a tragic event. And I wanted to sort of ask if, in consideration of all of the things that are enclosed within this sort of legislation, among them you mentioned de-escalation and implicit bias training. Will there also be an emphasis on civilian oversight and community policing and mental health?
So one of the things that America has been confronted with, especially during COVID, is I'd say one of America's greatest crimes right now is turning a deaf ear to mental illness.
Yes.
We're seeing an increase in suicides among our children. We're seeing domestic violence go up. We've seen just the isolation and the depression during COVID. And we have too many people who are incarcerated right now who are not criminals but are mentally ill. And instead of giving them or having a place to give them the treatment, they lock them up.
Yeah.
We saw that one case where the gentleman was standing outside nude, and they apprehended him, put a plastic bag over his head, and ended up shooting and killing him, where obviously there was something wrong. When I visit my hospitals, they are so concerned about the number of patients that the family don't know what to do with them, and they bring them to the hospital. They're a medical facility, they're not a mental health facility. And unfortunately, all of our medical facilities were shut down. We don't have emergency mental health facilities to care for them. Mm-hmm. And so the mental health piece we are embarking on, and you're absolutely right, Congresswoman, we really need to embrace that issue when it comes to criminal justice in America. We have lost our way. We act as if mentally ill people are disposable and just lock them up and get them out of our hair because we don't have the infrastructure. And we got to deal with our children.
Yes.
When they come back to school. That's not going to be easy, And when you talk about the oversight, that was not in there. However, it is in the bill that the training for de-escalation, the holding accountable, the taking away, because right now, and this is a big issue that our police department they're very uncomfortable with, and that is the immunity that police officers have. So when we watched that video and that police officer kept his knee on the throat of a human being for over 8 minutes until life left his body because he did it while he had a badge on, does that mean that there's no accountability for that? I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. But if you're in the line of duty and someone is shooting at you and you're trying to apprehend them and protect others and you discharge your weapon and there is injury or to that person, you should be immune from that because that's what we pay you to do. But can we do a better job? Do you have to shoot your gun? If you're trained better, do you have a taser? Is there other things that you can do if we do our job better so that police will not have to be so violent? And some people, unfortunately, join the police department so that they can have a badge to inflict pain on others that they don't respect or they're not, they have their own prejudice that they're being protected on. So that's something that is very controversial. And I just feel strongly, oh, and it does, I'm sorry, you mentioned community policing. It mandates that we put in community policing in all of our police departments.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has a question so that we can wrap this up? And
Yes, Madam Mayor.
yes, Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you, Congresswoman Lawrence. I did just have two questions. One was you mentioned about Ford Field. And I was wondering, because right now we have the TCF Center, so will that be in conjunction with the TCF Center? Or will one be closed and the other one, Ford Field, will be open?
Well, TCF, I'm sorry, is
TCF.
a Detroit location. It's for Detroiters. The Ford Field is going to be for anyone in the state of Michigan. And so you don't have to worry if I'm in Wayne County and I haven't been scheduled for my vaccine, you can call and get a scheduled vaccine in the Ford Field. So it's going to take some of the anxiety off of so many people waiting in these long lines. And the 6,000 shots a day. The first round will be Pfizer. And so some people want the J&J. We don't know when we're going to get it at Ford Field, but it is coming to Detroit and other locations in Wayne County. We just haven't gotten the date yet because it's so new, but it is coming.
Okay, and my second question, you mentioned $7 billion going towards education, because I'm an educator, so
Oh, good.
Kids is my heart. So I know there have been some talk among several school districts of possibly with schools being open in the summer to try to get the kids to catch up on their education. And with that $7 billion, I was wondering, is there still talk about that with the state, or is it going to be like left up to the local districts?
Well, there's going to be some ability for local school districts to make those decisions. I'm a strong advocate of it. I haven't had my conversation with Dr. Rice, the state superintendent, but I don't see how our children I don't see how my children reach the benchmarks of education without giving some form of reinforcement during the summer. They cannot take a whole summer off again because they missed out on so much. And especially our children, you know, the virtual learning is good for some children, but not all. And if a child is already struggling, the virtual is not going to fill the gaps. And so we feel strongly, however you decide, if it's just for those children who are underachieving, if it's for those students who you feel that need that extra boost, so that when we open up in September, everybody will be at the same place and will be able to move forward. But I feel strongly, and I'm gonna strongly recommend that Dr. Rice, I haven't had that conversation with him, but I feel that's what we need to do.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you every day for being a teacher.
All right, is there any other council person that'd like to speak or has a question? If not, I want to thank you so very much, Congresswoman Lawrence. I really, truly appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule to come and speak to us today.
So I am so excited about speaking to Harper Woods. I'm excited about seeing a person who has labored in politics and have reached the title of one of the best jobs in the mayor, and that's being a mayor. To all the council members, I have sat in your seat, and I know how sometimes there's sleepless nights because you raised your hand and said, I want to fix it. I want to be there to make sure that our community is one of the best. So thank you all so much. And I promise you I'll be back, and I hope next time in person. And so you all be safe and get your vaccines when it's available. And I'll see you soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I need a motion to approve the minutes from the regular city council meeting held on March 1st. Councilwoman Sawicki?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'll offer the motion to receive, approve, and file. I'm sorry, I'm looking for my correct page here. The minutes from the March 1st, 2021 City Council meeting. And I'm afraid I don't know if that's the only thing. Yes, that's the only thing on the approval of minutes. Thank you.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Constantino. Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, public comment on agenda items. If you have anything on the agenda items that you and the public would like to speak on, please speak now. Bob, is there anyone with their hand up?
Mr. Callis.
Mr. Callis? Mr. Callis, is there any comment?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council and Mr. Szymanski. All I wanted to know is if anyone on council could, the Congresswoman that was just speaking, is there a place or a website where we can go and read more information on all the things that this is going to provide?
Yes, she is our congressperson for the 14th Congressional District. And you could go to her website at any time, and also there's a question and answer that you can send her questions, and her staff would be more than happy, or herself, to respond to you. Okay, I need a resolution for the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Constantino.
I'll offer the resolution to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 6.
Support.
Support.
Support, Councilwoman Williams. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Constantino, yes, go ahead.
Okay, item number 6. Usually we don't put items more than 5,000 unless they're just a routine thing. But what I want to know is we have an invoice from Alter Collision for the repair of a scout car following an accident. Can we have some more details on that, please?
Yes.
Chief Smith? Yes, that was the, we already were paid by the insurance company. An officer was sideswiped while investigating an accident back in January, and that was the cost to repair the vehicle.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Sawicki.
I have 2 questions. One has to do with the consent agenda. I see that we're purchasing MRS, and we do that, I don't want to say often, but from time to time, where we're purchasing vests. What happens to the old vests? Or if the officer leaves, what happens to the vest that that officer was fitted for and wearing? I'm just curious.
Chief Smith? If it's beyond its expiration date, we try to, when wartime was going on, we would donate the vest to military units because they were using them to outfit their vehicles for protection. A lot of times the officers that do leave with the vest after we paid for it, the department that takes them will offer to give us some money towards that vest.
Okay.
But
Okay,
other
and
than
then-
that, other than that, if they don't want the vest, we keep it here for when we offer the citizen ride-alongs. So we have some protection for the citizen that's riding the car.
Okay. Interesting. Also, Madam Mayor, quick question on the target market analysis. When will council know the results of that analysis?
Ty?
We will have the full report late May. I have across from my desk here a small book of information has already been shared and to be completed. It's going to be a very comprehensive analysis, both of the retail market in Harper Woods and our housing market.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki,
Yes.
Councilman Toussaint,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, seeing that we have no old business, we'll move on to new business for the city manager's report.
Madam Mayor and City Council, attached is an invoice from Wayne County for the Milk River Drain principal and interest payments on the SRF program. It is recommended that this payment be approved.
Okay, I need a resolution.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Pies.
I'll offer the resolution to approve payment in the amount of $867,052.73 to Wayne County for the Milk River Drain principal and interest payments on the SRF program.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Lyons. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Councilwoman Lyons,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki,
Yes.
Councilman Toussaint,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino. Mayor Pro Tem Costantino?
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, item G2, MERS Retiree Healthcare Savings Account. Madam Mayor and Council, as City Council may remember, back in 2019 and continuing through current date, certain labor agreements were passed with post-retirement healthcare modifications and ratified by both City Council and the respective union memberships. Other labor agreements were modified through acceptance of the binding arbitration award granted to the city through Public Act 312. This protracted cycle to make uniform all post-retirement healthcare benefits within city labor agreements and exempt employee personnel agreements has produced a $22 million savings in legacy costs to the city and helped avoid a minimum $500,000 a year additional payment to MERS to ensure funding for those benefits for our future retirees. In the meantime, COVID-19 settled in and any mass registration process once offered by MERS had ceased. Zoom meetings were eventually offered as a substitute and were quite confusing, to say the least, due to individualized investment selection, beneficiary information, address changes, marital status changes, and so forth. In an effort to make good on our promises, the city has been working with MERS to calculate past funding due each employee per their collective bargaining agreement, grievances, and/or personnel agreement. The city owes MERS $70,991.17 as a starting point for the total of all employees and will begin making the monthly payments into individual employee accounts on a go-forward basis once MERS allocates the monies into the individual accounts. I recommend approval of this payment.
Madam Mayor,
Just Councilwoman Lyons.
I'd like to make the resolution to approve the payment to MERS in the amount of $70,991.17 to fulfill the city's obligation in providing post-retirement healthcare savings plans for those union and union exempt employees, and further to continue to make monthly contributions to the individual accounts.
I support.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Williams. Any discussion? Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know I was reading and Mr. Szymanski was reading, he said as a starting point. So I just was a little unclear as to what you meant by that.
Okay, it's actually retro payments. What has happened is that we first introduced the retirement healthcare savings account in the Fraternal Order of Police Contracts. And subsequently, what has taken place is we were in a very long, protracted arbitration case. Once the award was given to the city, we negotiated with the firefighters union, with the DPW union, with the clerical union, and we put it into the exempt employees that were eligible for those plans. And this is the retro amount that we have figured out and MERS has agreed on from 2019. And the reason we couldn't get these programs up and running was because we didn't have all the employees on them. It took a few years of contract negotiations to make it uniform. And right now we're catching up and we will be making monthly payments on behalf of the employees' accounts.
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Lyons.
Would there be any information available out there to really give a breakdown of like which employees who would utilize the HSA programs and, you know, who is the union and non-union, just to be able to know like what numbers we're looking at as far as these, you know, legacy costs in the future and that breakdown as far as that number?
It generally, it affected all the employees that formerly were retired a health care plan by the city at retirement. What has taken place as a substitute is the employees will be given an allotment of $100 a month over a career. They will be saving up money to purchase their own Medicare Advantage plans or shop in the marketplace and buy a plan. New employees coming in are given a healthcare savings account, which very much resembles the retirement healthcare savings account. But the employees that were given, that had healthcare plans in their place, were given a stipend, depending on family, two-person, or single plan, and the retirement healthcare savings account. So it's about half and half, about 50% of our workforce.
Higher.
Madam Chair.
Higher, prior to.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilman Tucson.
Do we have any idea about how much the payments will be monthly? I know we're waiting on something to give us, MERS to give us an exact amount, but do we have a ballpark figure of how much will be paid monthly?
You know, I want to say that I can get that figure. I can't tell you right off the top of my head what it is, but I could certainly get back and email you or tell you at the next scheduled meeting, you know, what that is. We sent MERS a spreadsheet with all the eligible employees, and, you know, they in turn are setting up all the accounts. I couldn't tell you that right off the top of my head, but I would say that it's probably about 30 people, and that's with retirement healthcare savings, and that's with and the other employees are getting the regular healthcare savings account. So probably about 30 employees, you know, close to that ballpark.
Okay, well, give us a dollar amount next time if you can.
Sure.
Is there any further discussion? Roll call vote, please, Mrs. Franks.
You're muted.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, did you have a question, Ms. Councilwoman Pies?
No, I was telling Ms. Frank, Clerk Frank, that she was muted.
Oh, okay.
I clicked the unmute button, but I guess it didn't go through. So sorry about that.
All right.
Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Toussaint.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino.
Yes.
And Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Thank you.
Moving forward to item G3, 2021 Community Development Block Grant. Madam Mayor and City Council, with the changes to the Community Development Block Grant CDBG program, and with Wayne County distributing these funds to the local communities, we will automatically be allocated $20,000 to utilize for senior services through the HELM and for transportation services through PATS. For any funds in addition to the $20,000, we are required to submit a proposal to Wayne County to utilize for infrastructure improvements. If we are awarded the additional CDBG funds, we will likely recommend replacing broken and deteriorating sidewalks, ADA ramps, and the purchase and installation of benches to be placed at the new basketball courts as outlined in the attached memorandum from our Economic and Community Development Director. I have reviewed this with him, and it is my recommendation that the city submit a proposal for additional CDBG funds for infrastructure improvements.
Madam
Madam
Mayor,
Mayor.
Yes, Councilwoman Williams.
I'd like to offer the resolution. By resolution to accept the $20,000 allocation from Wayne County for Community Development Block Grant Funds to be provided to the HELMS and the PATS or PAATS, and further to improve the submission of a proposal to Wayne County requesting additional funding with an amount of $150,000 for proposed sidewalk repairs, ADA ramps, for the purchase and installation of benches for the new basketball courts, and that the mayor be authorized to submit this proposal on behalf of the city.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Sawicki. Discussion?
Mayor.
Yes, Councilwoman Sawicki.
Just a quick question. That has to do with the additional funds that we're requesting. I know that, you know, the PATS and the HELM are traditionally given money from our CDBG funds, but it mentions replacing broken and deteriorating sidewalk. And I'm just curious whether that is going to be applied in a grant or in a loan to homeowners, or if this is just broken and deteriorating sidewalks on public property. And so I didn't know what the goal was for that aspect of it.
Ty?
The goal is to replace the sidewalks that are not the walkways or the driveways. The sidewalks where trees have pushed them up over the years, where they've been cracked, where they're actually deteriorating. If we had enough funds, we would actually go after some curbs, but primarily sidewalks. And this is a survey that was done by Bill Snyder, really back in 2018. We have applied for the last 2 years and have not been granted this objective. I think the timing is good, according to the Wayne County officials, that they might seriously consider it this time around. And I actually increased it from 135,000 to 150 in case we have additional sidewalks that need repairs.
Well, Madam Mayor, I'll continue question on the same thing. I know that years ago when the city went through and flagged all the sidewalks that need repair, homeowners were billed for any repairs they didn't do on their own. And traditionally, homeowners are responsible for repairs of any broken or deteriorating units on their property. And so I guess I'm just curious, is the city now taking on the responsibility of replacing the sidewalks at city cost? Because we have hundreds of miles of sidewalks in the community. And so that's going to be a pretty monumental amount of money if we're going to go through and just do it all at the city's cost. I don't have a problem with it on a corner lot. And I have quite a large amount of walk around my property. But I know that in the past, it was always the responsibility of the homeowner, and we were cut a break if we used, the city had contractors that they were using, and we were able to get a kind of group rate using that contractor. So I'm not understanding quite whether the city is now going to take on the duty of replacing private, the homeowners, flagged sidewalks, or exactly what you have in mind here.
Okay, first, we're going to be using all the money we can off the grant. I would still recommend what has been done in the past, that if we do see some trip hazards there, that we have to replace the sidewalk and bill, the homeowner. But again, I want to say that we're going to be using, the money from the grant. $150,000 is, it can go pretty far, in the city, but I'm going to essentially defer the question of the particulars to Bill Schneider. Bill, can you share some additional comments on that?
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you. To chime in on that, working with Ty and identifying sidewalks back in 2018, this money would be earmarked for sections in the city that they qualify for a distressed cities grant, actually. So it's a specific location in the city, and this doesn't apply to all homes and all residential homes, but certain sections in the city that are identified on a map that we've used for guidance on this project. So having said that too, also when we take this grant money, it's under the auspices, if you will, and guided by the Davis-Bacon requirements, which pays a prevailing wage, specific contractors, and specific reporting requirements. So yeah, it's a great help, and it would be used this would be in a specific location of the city. You know, it was really astute of Ty to add in there also the ADA ramps, because without regard to distressed locations in the city, something that's recognized by this funding are the ADA compliance ramps throughout the city. They can be used, they can be applied or installed anywhere in the city, and they don't fall under the same guise as distressed.
Question.
Yes, Councilwoman. Yes, Councilman.
To add on to what the question of Councilwoman Sawicki, so these sidewalks are going on. I thought it was going to be more of in a public area, but it's going to include some residential streets as well as, because when they said the basketball courts and the benches, I was thinking more of a city property, but this is not necessarily on city property, just a particular distressed area. Is that what you're saying? That's been identified?
There's zones that have been identified, and Ty has a mapping of those zones, and so does Bill. And that's where I believe that the grant money is going to be primarily directed toward.
So again, my question is this going to be public and private, or just public areas or city-owned areas?
Well, sidewalks they're all public. I mean, it's you know, that's, you know, we're not going to be replacing somebody's driveway.
No, I was just, what I was saying was, for example, like the sidewalks around the city county building, you know, those would be more designed for the, you know, that's more to me would be, I'm not sure what I would call it, that, you know, more designed city property versus residential property. That's the question.
Okay, Ty, could you elaborate a little bit more on the zones?
Oh, yes, we are really targeting the area at the intersection of Maross and Kelly, the city border, and going as far north as we can, and as far east that we can, going toward the expressway, trying to make that section of the city look a lot more presentable than it's looking at this time. These are public improvements. City properties are basically not to be targeted, for example, the sidewalks around City Hall, because the feds consider that to be our responsibility as a city. But as a public purpose, we can use this money to improve the appearance of certain areas and the safety.
Madam Mayor, quick question.
Yes, Councilwoman Sawicki.
Just now, Hyman, Ross, and Kelly, which are not Harper Woods. I assume that he's talking about Harper Woods, not the Detroit area there. This money is going to be restricted to just use in Harper Woods, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We're starting at the north side of Kingsville and going north,
Okay, so this
far
is
north
actually,
as Lost Commons.
if I understand the way it's going to be used, it's actually to be kind of a grant to low-income homeowners to replace broken sidewalks on their property. It's granted to these low-income homeowners. Is that my understanding?
Yes. What we're trying to do is to improve the public safety in that area, particularly. Those sidewalks will remain deteriorated and trees pushing them up, etc., if we don't target it and do something about it.
Are there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor, we have Mrs. Pies and Ms. Lines with their hands electronically raised.
Okay, Councilwoman Pies.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. One, I just got confused.
You
was questioning whether residents would get the funds. And it sounded like you said yes, and I had thought that this was just going to be the city determining and that the residents wouldn't get the funds. And my next question was, since this is about infrastructure, is there any way we would be able to use some of this money to address people's traffic concerns? Like when we'd spoken earlier about speed bumps or the like?
Okay, this is primarily, there's about 300 slabs of broken and deteriorated concrete around the city in very specific zones. And Ty and Bill could talk about those zones. And what the city would do is they would replace the sidewalks. They would replace the ADA ramps in those neighborhoods at no cost to the homeowners in that area. And with certain monies too, we're asking for to be able to buy, you know, park benches, you know, by the basketball courts as well. But there's at least 300 slabs of deteriorating concrete that is included in this package. And again, it would all be predicated on us receiving the $150,000 grant. That's primarily what it would be used for, is for ADA ramps and for sidewalks.
So you're saying the money that would be left over would be so small that it would only be able to go for things like benches or
well,
something like that?
It's to upgrade the appearance of our streets. And again, you know, it all
okay,
depends.
I'm sorry, just
Yeah.
for the appearances mostly then, and
Yes.
safety regarding that.
Yeah,
Okay, that answers that then, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes. So with regards to the there's these upgrades and having the park benches, I know that there's probably not going to be a ton of funds left over from the $150,000 upgrade earmark, but this could potentially be an opportunity for to inspire beauty and sense of pride in the community. So just wondering if any of those funds we could incorporate local artists or students into these benches and their kind of design, or they could be made out of repurposed or recycled materials. If we could consider that, it's just a little piece, but I think that that's something that people would feel proud of, and I think it would increase the sense of beauty and aesthetics in the neighborhood.
That's a good comment. We'll take all that in consideration.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes, I guess I'm going to come to this idea once again of the sidewalks in the particular zone that you want to focus on. And I get it. I know that it's an economically challenged area. And I do remember when sidewalks went in, and the problem with the cement, and they started to deteriorate within a couple of years. I think they explained it as being a virus, believe it or not, in the cement. And as a result, it just completely deteriorated. So I get that. What I'm wondering about for people who are not in that area, will the city at some point be going through and marking flags for necessary repairs? And will money be available in the future? Will we be hoping to make money available to other homeowners within our community who might need similar work done on their sidewalks? Just out of curiosity as to what the city's goal is here. And I understand, the idea of doing grant work in low-income areas and that sort of thing. I'm just trying to get an understanding of fairness for the entire community when it comes to replacing flags, which can be quite expensive. I know that at the time I needed to have flags replaced, it was several $100s for a single flag. So I'm just curious about that.
Those are questions we can certainly talk about, at the upcoming budget times. Right now, we know we have bad sidewalks. The city obviously does not have enough money to do everybody's sidewalk. Certainly, the cost would be borne by the resident, especially if it was identified as a trip hazard or, a major impediment to, getting around, on the sidewalks. We would go around and mark those. And yes, the resident would be charged, but do we have, a plan in place to replace all the sidewalks at this time? The answer is no, at this time. We don't have anything in place, but this is something that could be talked about in the future.
Are there any further questions?
Yes, now I'm almost confused again. With those sidewalks that you put here, it almost sounds like you said some of those we'll use with with grant funding, but some of those we may still charge the homeowner. Did I just you say that?
Okay, I can give you a distinction. What this money covers is specific zones, specific slabs that have been identified as being, past the point of no return, that they absolutely need to be replaced because they are a trip hazard, or people cannot access them. And that has been identified, and that's where the grant money will come in. However, if there are broken sidewalks across the city that don't fall into these zones and they have to be replaced, which is a topic for another discussion. It's, presently what is in place is the resident would be required to pay for
For homeowner.
So in other words, first I think I understand you. I'm gonna leave it alone a minute. But this area here that we've zoned, and I think a zone is an area, not a slab, is going to be all paid for by the city.
It's going to be paid for by the grant.
By the grant.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Councilwoman Sawicki,
Yes.
Councilman Toussaint,
Yes, I'm in for grants.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
All right. All right, this brings us up to call the audience. For any resident would like to speak, please raise your hand, and Mr. Bob will let me know who has their hand raised, please.
Miss Courtney's got her hand raised.
Okay. Nancy?
Hello. Once again, I am Courtney, and I'm calling from my home. I wanted to tell you about something. Those of us of a certain age remember something called a party line on our telephones. Well, there's something going on now that's being orchestrated by the Healthier Black Elders Center at Wayne State University called a good old-fashioned party line. And it's help for seniors that are feeling isolated. And every Tuesday, they can either go in through the computer and a Zoom call, or they can call in directly and be part of a group discussion, and they'll talk about health issues and stress and exercise, hobbies, games, various different topics. So I wanted to share that information, and I will give you the phone number for someone to call if they wanted more information about it. So questions about the party line, you can call 313-664-2616. And once again, it's for a social group for older Detroiters and people from Harper Woods who can join by phone or computer, just so they have some social interaction during this lockout time.
All right.
That's all I have.
Well, thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the audience like to speak?
Yes, we have somebody. I'm trying to catch their name. Unfortunately, our transcript is covering it. I believe it might be, is that you, Mr. Hakeem?
That'd be me.
Okay.
Hello, council. Nice to see all your smiling faces. Even you, Miss Williams, smile a little bit more, will you, please? Thank you. Okay, call the audience. I got a big conversation on sidewalks and grant money and all that good stuff today. Part of my notes was to talk about that and address that. And if Mr. Snyder needs some free help to drive around picking out addresses, now that I'm retired, I got nothing to do. And I walk several miles a day through Harper Woods. I'd be more than happy to write down addresses for sidewalks and driveway approaches that need to be done. And while I can appreciate there's a lot of people in need and short money and need extra cash and don't have the money to readily fix stuff and spend a lot of money on their house, I do believe that there's a lot of people in Harper Woods with enough money to fix their sidewalk and fix their driveway. We need to help the people that need help, but we got to quit pampering the people that got the money to do it, and don't fight them and don't tag their house because we think the whole city's broke. The whole city's not broke. There's a lot of people with money that live here. There's a lot of houses with nasty sidewalks, undrivable approaches, but they don't have no problem getting their Lincoln Navigator or the Cadillac Escalade or their Mercedes in and out of their driveway. Well, you know what? If you've got the money for that, you probably got a few $100s to fix your sidewalk. So that's a big stickler with me. The other thing is houses. Bill, we got a lot of houses that are just really in bad shape and garage structures that are in bad shape. You want to talk about beautifying the city by, putting in some sidewalks. You really got to be whacking some of these people with the appearance of the house. There's some houses over in the Lancaster Chester area that they look abandoned, for crying out loud. And there's family living in there, a mother with 3 kids. And the house looks like it's half fallen down, for crying out loud. And gutters hanging off of houses. I understand we got the company that goes around and does all that and writes all the citations and does it. But they go month by month. You never see anything getting any better. The same houses are in the same disarray year in and year out. And people are still living there. People are still coming and going and doing their thing. And, it's making this city a city of blight. And it shouldn't be that way. Number 2, field, the Tyrone fence, the ball field or soccer field on Tyrone in front of the senior building next to the school. They used to have signs that said no dogs allowed. It's become the #1 dog park for Harper Woods. Very large dogs, a lot of dogs, daily. Last week I was on my way over to Salter Park with my little guys, and this thing, I don't know, could have put a saddle on him. He was so tall. This dog jumped the fence. We were walking up the driveway to the nursing home to cut into Salter Park, and this big old dog jumped the fence to come say hello to my dogs. They were fine, scared the hell out of me though. But anyway, I don't know what they tell me. It's not dog friendly. It's not a dog park. Dogs aren't allowed. But the signs that were on that fence that said no dogs allowed have disappeared. And everybody with a big dog takes their dog over there, takes him off the leash, and lets him run for hours. and I've yet to see anybody with a bag in their hand.
Wow.
So that kind of irritates me after what we went through to make Salter Park, dog friendly.
Right.
The other thing over at Salter Park, I did clear the snow one snowfall this year on the paths. I know, Bill, your crew is awful busy and backed up and short funded, and I can appreciate that. I didn't have a problem going over there and shoveling the walk so I could walk the dogs. Been a lot of conversation on the Harperwood websites, neighborhood sites about, is this friendly? Is that friendly? Is it safe? Is it not safe? And I've been a big proponent about trying to get residents to go over there and take advantage of Salter Park and Johnson Park or whatever, so they could, get out and use the things that we do have available. Okay, I'm almost done. I think I got one more. The roads, I don't know if they're part of the parking lot of Eastland or they're part of the city's responsibility. John and May, I don't know, between you and Bill, figure that out. But if you're coming in off of 8 Mile, or if you're coming in the back off of Beaconsfield and you want to drive around the back of the mall to get to Home Depot, or if you come in from 8 Mile and you want to, not the parking lot per se, but the actual driveway, can't we cite like Home Depot or Lowe's, make them responsible for paving some of the stuff that apparently they own? Obviously, I know the owners of the mall aren't spending 5 cents to even throw dirt in the hole, let alone blacktop anything. But you want to talk about, dilapidated road. I think the whole worst driving experience in all of Harper Woods is trying to navigate through that damn parking lot over there at Eastland. I mean, that thing's insane. You can lose an axle trying to go into Home Depot. So I don't know if it's what we're responsible for, what the mall's responsible for, what the individual shop properties are responsible for, as far as Lowe's and Home Depot and, the other property that the mall doesn't own. But that's really, really bad. I mean, I drove through there. My wife's car's got those low profile tires. And that was the first and last time I'll drive that car through that parking lot, I'll tell you that.
All
But
right.
anyway, yeah, that's it. I mean, the sidewalks and approaches, I'm really getting irritated every year more and more about, especially because I'm looking at the people going in and out of these houses and the cars that are parked in those driveways. You can't tell me they don't have $150 to put a square of cement in a bad sidewalk. And they all abuse the kindness of the city that says you can temporarily take the trip out of your sidewalk with a little bit of cold patch or that stuff they sell at Home Depot. There's people across the street, 3 houses down from me. These people used that blacktop on their sidewalk 4 years ago. It's still there. Nice couple, both work. Maybe not the wealthiest people in the world, but in 4 years, you couldn't save enough money to put 4 sidewalk squares in. Just gets irritating. And keep helping the people that need it, but we got to start cracking the whip on the people that are just neglectful and really don't need our help. So when we do get grant money, we put it to real good use instead of just use. And with that, I'm done. Thanks.
Thank you.
Was I
Anybody-
under 3 minutes? I was going like hell.
Oh, no, you were over 3 minutes. Mr.
Yeah, man,
Hackman,
I always complain
it's
about
okay.
that too. But
Yeah, it's
I
okay.
won't say nothing at the next meeting.
Okay. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak?
Mr. Callis?
Mr. Callis?
Hello, Madam Mayor, City Council, and Mr. Szymanski. I just want to go through a few things, and I'm going to try to go as quick as I can. The first issue for you guys is that the last meeting, it was spoken about that the Park Crest Hotel was going to be on this agenda, and I did not see it, so I hope that does make it for an agenda soon, because I do have some things to say about that. In regards to the ordinance meeting, there was a time when we were talking about Salter Park and doing the dog poop thing, and It was me, Cheryl, Joe, and I believe one other resident. And at the time, I was under the understanding that I was a part of that committee, but then come to find out as time went down, there wasn't a meeting for a year. And I believe the last meeting we had was on a business that would not be beneficial for Harper Woods. So I think we're looking at almost a year, and we really need to have that, please. The next thing, to go with Mr. Hakeem, the back of the businesses on Kelly Road, their alleys are horrible. And I wanted to add on to that the garbage. Council, Madam Mayor, our city looks like trash. I mean, and this includes GFL too, because a lot of times they'll break bags or cans and the bottles will fly and they'll just leave them there. And I don't want to put more on Bill because he can only do so much with GFL. So, you know, but even on Beaconsfield, I get tired of picking up the masks every day and it's just filth. And like behind the smoke shop in Argang, you go look behind those dumpsters and people are throwing their trash there and it sits there for like a month. It's just gross. So you know about that. The next four things are quick, and Mr. Szymanski, you have my email if you could follow up. I'm hoping that council and DPW and Mr. Szymanski do take seriously what I suggested about Beaconsfield last week in regards to it being a single lane. Because of the fact it being a single lane, there really shouldn't be parking. Since we're talking about sidewalks, I want to throw in, it is springtime. Please don't forget about my DTE sidewalks. The next thing was for Mr. Smith was the citizen ride, or actually Mr. Szymanski, the citizen ride along. I was always interested in doing that, and I seen Miss Lyons able to go, and I was like, oh, cool, we're still doing them. And I got the application, but was told no because of COVID. So I didn't know if we opened that back up.
No.
And then the last three things I got, the last two are positive, I swear. The other one, Mr. Szymanski, is on the water for you that we've never followed up. Being that we have under 1,000 meters left, and most of those are for vacant homes or rental homes that we're waiting to fill, et cetera. I think it's about time we start going on this actual billing as a whole city. And that's it on that. Now, two things to end on a positive note. The NEDC and the CRLE NEED are having their cyber safety workshop on March 23rd. And this is going to cover cyberbullying, cyber security, the psychological effects, how to look out for scams, and see people who are going to take advantage of you online. So it's going to be a wonderful workshop. It took a lot of us getting together and time to put it together, and it's really something I'd like to see you stand behind. And lastly, this is 6 weeks, so I'm wondering if there's any more updates on Eastland. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Call the audience. All right, so then we'll move on to call the council.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Sawicki.
I have 4 things that I want to mention. The first is I'm curious when the city is going to learn anything about the Priscilla Slater case. It's been a very long time. I know that it's in the hands of Wayne County, I believe now. Last thing that was mentioned at a council meeting was that all the information had been turned over. Have we heard anything at all yet? I made a pledge to the community that we would be as open as we can be, and I've heard nothing. I just wondered if the city manager has any insight.
No new news. I want to say that the Wayne County prosecutor is holding the police report. We just sent in a FOIA request that pretty much looks like the one that we sent last time. I mean, there is nothing new. There is no updates that have been made on this. We're not kept in the loop as to anything that has gone on so far. And again, I believe that the holdup in this whole matter is the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office.
Okay. The second thing I would bring up piggybacks on something that Mr. Killis had mentioned about parking on Beaconsfield. It was my belief that there is no on-street parking on Beaconsfield within the city of Harper Woods. So can you address that question? Do we allow for on-street parking in Harper Woods?
You know, we're looking at everything that makes sense for the community now with the paving. Those are bridges that we'll cross when we come to them. You know, right now we could probably speculate on why it should be allowed, why it shouldn't be allowed. But again, we have to do what is safest for the residents. And that's the commitment that we're going to make as a final determination in the end.
So we do have an area where on-street parking is being permitted in Beaconsfield in Harper Woods.
I don't really see anything changing from the way it is, but you know, like I said, we will talk to our engineers and see if there's a different configuration, you know, once they scope everything out. Again, I can't say what it's going to look like at this time, you know, until we have more data.
All right. The third thing is we received in council packet the McKenna report of the 2021 Planning Commission work plan. And I was very pleased. I look forward to working with the commission planners and moving Harper Woods forward as becoming a redevelopment ready community. And so I appreciate having that report put in there. And, you know, I hope we hear more about that coming up soon. And then the last thing is, as we all know, the community is going to have a second vaccination shot day coming up on Thursday, the 25th. I'm hoping that county will follow through with additional dates, especially now that vaccination eligibility has been expanded. But for us who are getting vaccinated, whether it's the first time, you know, or whether it's the second, there are some recommendations that have come down from the medical field, and that is to make certain you're staying hydrated, including using electrolyte solutions, because your hydration is incredibly important when it comes to boosting your body's recovery. Get plenty of rest, avoid over salty or overly sugary foods, and if necessary, take a Tylenol after you've gotten your shot, not beforehand, if you need it. So I just wanted to pass along that advice because as more and more of us are vaccinated, we want to avoid any of the consequences that might come from the vaccination and you know, gearing up our immune system. So with that thought in mind, those are the comments I have for today. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Toussaint.
I recently attended the Elected Officers Academy virtual core weekender, which was very informative. I recommend it to any elected city council person, or I assume it's for the mayors also. Many want to become an elected official thinking changes can be made overnight. I'm finding that out. It doesn't matter how many board councils you may have been on. The government board councils is more than meets the eye. In addition to a new language and bonds, levy and debit millage, Headley override, voter referendum, there are regulations you have to be aware of that are more of a challenge than you think when you want to get something done. I'm enjoying the learning process, and whoever runs has to realize there is a learning process. In fact, I look forward to attending the next scheduled training the afternoon of St. Patrick's Day. So I guess I won't be drinking any green beer in the afternoon.
All right.
One serious problem we are having in Harper was all the conditions of our roads, and many residents feel that our complaints to administration have gone to deaf ears over the past 5 years, and we know a lot of the problem is funding. This class made me do some investigation more. For example, to repave my street, it is estimated to be around $750,000. We know that good roads improve property value. Patching some of them is like trying to patch up East Land. Good property value means additional revenue for the city, and we do want potential buyers not to be turned off because of the condition of the road. Anyway, while attending the training, one of the speakers, Mr. Patrick, an attorney and counselor of law from Miller Canfield, gave a great presentation on resources available to cities. I asked him about resources available to the communities for roads. And in his letter, he says, I don't recall exactly every word or order during my presentation, but I think the three options were, and I've also shared this with acting city manager, John Szymanski, said vote a bond issue to repair roads, which allows the city to levy a debt millage to pay it back. Vote an amendment to the city charter to authorize additional millage if city not at 20 mills. Vote a Headley override to get additional mileage capacity if the existing millage has not been rolled back. And he also said, let me scroll down again. He also said, I did look online and found information that suggested that Harperwood City Charter already authorized the maximum mills and the levy in 2019 at 19.97 mills. Well, my point is that, you know, when you talk about this, you really have to have an understand all the terminology. Anyway, I shared this letter with our acting city manager. He assured me he was aware of these options and better explained to me some of the options that are available and will include these options, which would probably need voter approval in his plan for the terrible roads by sometime in June and July or budget time. Because of the training, I now have a better understanding and the language that goes with it on the challenges we face to move forward. And I can see it truly is a complex process. I also feel more confident that our administration can handle it. On a lighter note, it's a good thing about the infrastructure for those sidewalks. I'm glad to see that. And I hear in these meetings where residents are asking for speed bumps to control the streets. Oh, my residential streets wish we had the problem. Many of our streets are so continuous speed bumps to the extent where they are dangerous. So anyway, we have levied bonds for libraries, garbage, and we used to have our roads. I had one for roads that was paid off but never renewed. So anyway, again, I look forward to we have another training coming up on Wednesday I look forward to. And I just want to tell you that I look forward to our plans for this, and I feel confident that we will have it. And the training did help me get a better understanding of things.
All right, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak?
Ms. Lyons has her hand up.
Councilwoman Lyons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor and colleagues and public, just a few things here. I wanted to mention that here in the community, there have been a lot of questions around cleanup and keeping the city beautiful, and just frustrations that we as residents have. But the Neighborhood Economic Development Coalition, the Beautiful Neighborhoods Committee, they have organized a series of community cleanups where socially distanced, everybody wearing masks, but on April 17th, May 1st, May 15th, and 22nd. So be on the lookout for a flyer with more details and more information. But I do believe that we can truly help ourselves to feel that sense of community pride, and we can do our parts by helping that cleanup and those efforts. The second thing is tomorrow, the Michigan Municipal League's Capcom starts, and I know that several of us have started or signed up for that. I look forward to seeing you all there and to learning new things to bring back to the public and share with our community. And then there is the issue of Women's History Month. And it's also reading month. So as I mentioned last council meeting that I've started to reach out to members of the community, and I was very happy to have Miss Kane, who serves on the library board there, to read novels about women in history. And so it's issued invitations to several members of the community, and do reach out to me if you're interested in being a part of this series that we can share in conjunction with the Harper Woods Public Library. We can also share these with our school districts, whether it be the Grosse Pointe Schools and the Harper Woods Public Schools, to be able to celebrate women in the accomplishments in history. And I did want to follow up on any attempt to reach out to Grosse Pointe Park for with regards to their successful search for more public safety officers, and if there have been any follow-up or developments, because I can definitely reach out and, you know, have conversations with them as well.
I
Is there,
didn't really finish. I had something on that also, Madam Chair.
excuse me, hold up just a minute, Mr. Toussaint, let us be in order. Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak that hasn't spoken?
We have Miss Pies and Miss Constantina with their hands electronically raised.
Okay, Councilwoman Pies.
Thank you. I had several things I wanted to speak to. With the CDBG funds and safety and beautification, I was wondering if any of that money could be spent on the parking lot behind the Neighborhood Economic Development Center building. It's really so full, really full of deep potholes that not only am I afraid to park on it, I get really afraid when I have to walk on it. And if it even gets a little bit icy out there, it's terrible. It's not just like unbecoming or a nuisance, it's dangerous. So if there's any way we could somehow look at putting any kind of funds towards that, it would be great. And one of the things also that concerns me about that building is that the lighting there is really bad, so that you can't avoid the potholes. It's hard to not fall there. So if we could do something about the lighting behind there. And I noticed that the buildings on either side of it have cameras, security cameras in their parking lots, but that they face away from our area of the parking lot and our back door. So I was wondering if somehow we could address security and security cameras there at some point. Also, regarding the COVID, I found something online through the CDC. They keep a database of tracking vaccine side effects. If anybody wants to go there and just give their 2 cents on that, they can go. The website is vsafe.cdc.gov, and it's just a really important database. I think if we could all be a part of that. Also, regarding our COVID vaccination event earlier this month, I want to thank our mayor for really pulling it all together. I was on a Zoom meeting a few nights ago, along with the county representatives that helped put this together, as well as Commissioner Colleen, as well as a council person from Grosse Pointe Park. Unfortunately, I can't remember her name right off the bat, but it was
Darcy McConnell.
Yes, thank you, yes. Because the points are in the process of planning theirs, and it was acknowledged how little time we got actually to prepare. The event was held on a Thursday. The Thursday prior to that, we found out we were going to have one, but we didn't know a date or really how to prepare for it. So this was really last minute, and I think our mayor did a great job of working with the county on this, working with the community college. It was over here at the Wayne County Community College Center, and also with our county commissioner, our county commissioner, Tim Colleen, on this. And I think it was a really great thing to pull together. I know we didn't have time to reach out to some people that don't have access to or to social media. But I'm hoping we can somehow help these people if we're able to get an event here again. And also, of course, the volunteers that came forward were just, you know, some of our council persons here working different areas, and a lot of the community. It was great to see community come out for this. And the first person who was vaccinated got cheered, cheered by everybody there. It was just a really heartfelt moment to see and a really encouraging thing. So the last thing I'd like is I got a phone call from Heidi Ulig Johnstone, who's Director of Volunteer Services at the Helm, which used to be Services for Older Citizens. And we talked a little bit, and I thought it might be important for me to have a tour of their facility, since we've been working with them for years and we have a representative with them, but I didn't know actually the insides and the inner workings of everything. So she was kind enough to give me a tour last Wednesday, and their facility is over off Kirchable, right behind, I think it's the Henry Ford Hospital there.
Bridge.
And they offer lots of services, including on site. They've got a large room there where you can social distance, and they have a movie night. They offer yoga. They offer some online classes and some in there. It was really great. A lot of space. There's 3 floors. There's elevators, so each of the floors is accessible. But she also gave me some flyers here. I don't know if you can see that, but I wanted to read off a couple of things that they offer. And one is the Gratiot Loop, which is the first and third Friday of every month from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. They go take you along shopping. So they stop at the Meijer on 13 and Mac. They stop at the Walmart on Gratiot Macomb Mall, Kroger at 13 and Little Mac, and a Target store. So you have to call and reserve your seat a couple days ahead of time. For this, it's first and third Friday of every month. Another thing they have is the Ask the Physical Therapist, which is on the first Tuesday of each month. So upcoming, it's April 6th and May 4th. And you can also do your blood pressure screenings there on the second Tuesday of each month. So March 9th, April 13th, and May 11th. But it's a great way to have some, to get some questions possibly answered. Another thing they're offering is creating confident caregivers. So it's really something for caregivers. It provides them with information and tools to manage and reduce their own stress regarding offering care to loved ones and to others. Let's see, they also have a grief work support group, which is really important. And that's free to members and non-members. And that's at Thursdays at 2 to 4 p.m. That's the grief support group there. They have a personal action toward health virtual class on Wednesdays, April 15th through May 20th. And that's for adults 60 and over who have long-term or chronic health conditions like arthritis or emphysema, asthma, and such like that. So you might want to check that out. And let's see, they're also having a virtual March for Meals now through March 28th, and it's the 3rd annual March for Meals. You can march, walk, run, bike, skip, jump, hop on the sidewalk or whatever. And you'll raise money that way for meals for those in need. And lastly, I don't think anybody here will need it, but you might know somebody who does. It's Learn to Zoom. They are going to be offering classes on how to get on Zoom and then do the virtual classes through there. So these are all programs that are offered by them. You can call, you can go to their website, unless you need the, well, they actually offer classes also on how to use a website, how to work the computer. But that's Helm Life, HELMLIF And with that, thank
Okay. Councilwoman Constantino? You're muted. Okay.
Hi there. Okay,
Yeah.
so again, great job on the vaccine day. That was very, very, very smooth operation. Good job to you, the county, and Commissioner Killeen and everybody, and the college, everybody involved. I just wanted to reiterate what Mr. Callis was talking about, that we do have a cybersecurity workshop coming up next Tuesday, March 23rd. And like he had said, a lot of work has gone into this, and I hope that everybody can be part of that. Chief, I'm not sure, did you get a chance to put that on the website, the link for that?
Yes, it's on.
Okay, so the link is on the city website, and hopefully it'll be out on some social media sites, and we'll try to send a link to everybody on the council. So, everybody, I hope, everybody in the audience can make it there as well, because it should be really, really good workshop. And if anybody has any questions, you can talk to Councilmember Toussaint, Councilmember Lyons, myself, the chief, Mr. Callis, or any of the other people that are on the committee.
All right. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on council? Mr. Councilman Toussaint?
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be out of order, but
that's okay. I
hadn't really finished the last time. To kind of, one thing we need to, I'm also really got concerns about the hiring of police staff, just as Councilwoman Ernestine Lyons. One thing we kind of need to do now is really kind of update the flyer, because now we do have open positions on that. And some things I was thinking about, which I was going to even cover with the chief, and I haven't gotten to it yet, and Mr. Sawinski, was some things we'll change, like we said, fulfill the dream. I'm thinking about fulfill your dream would be better than that. So applications are now being accepted for full-time and part-time positions with paid benefits and paid cross-training. We got to get that clear on that. So like apply today, and we're looking for new additions to our public safety department. That could be you. And I'm not sure down at the bottom, we need to say something about Harper Woods as an equal opportunity employer. Those are just some thoughts I had that I was going to kind of cover with the chief and also with Mr. Sawinski to make sure we got the word right, to make it more inviting to get some police on our force. And also the last thing I wanted to say here was that I had the pleasure of going out with the mayor the other day. We had some flowers from Trader Joe's, and we took it over to Senior Center, and just seeing the delight on these seniors' faces, to receive these flowers, it was just all so heartwarming. And I look forward to doing more things like that as a city council person. In fact, I've already turned in all my signature and stuff to actually be able to run for the office. So anyway, it's going to be a good budget meeting we're going to have this fall, because it seemed like so many things we said on there had to do with broken roads and parking lots and that type of thing. So we kind of I'm looking forward to the plan. Thank you very much.
Okay. Councilwoman Williams, I knew I was getting ready to call on you, last one to speak. So, all right, Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm very patient. I don't mind waiting. Okay, I just said a few things. One, I really do want to thank Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence for coming and speaking with us, to giving us an update on what's been going on. Because even when you watch the news reports and you're sitting down and watching what's going on, you still don't always have a good understanding of what's happening, or the many different bills that Senate and Congress have to actually go through. So I do appreciate her coming out to talk to us. The other thing is that tomorrow is the Michigan Municipal League's workshop, which is for the city council and mayor. And I am looking forward to going. So just like Councilwoman Lyons said, looking forward to seeing many of you there. And the other thing is still waiting on an update from the charter committee, or if the committee is even meeting to, just find out eventually some updates. So, hopefully that's in the works. And that's it.
All right, thank you very much. And I just have a few things to say. Once again, I wanted to know, council members, did everyone get their park passes? Okay, Councilwoman Williams, I left you a message on your phone, and it was at the front desk of the police station.
I know, I
called-
got the email.
I
got
called
the
you.
email.
Okay, because I called you and I was going to drop it off, but you didn't answer my phone, so I put it at the front desk for the police department. So it should be still there for you. Everyone else did receive their passes, right? We decided not to have the policemen to utilize the policemen to come and bring it out to you individually. Normally, we get those passes at council meetings, but since the COVID and we're not meeting, we had to think of a different way of doing it. So that was why I ended up with them and to give them out to each one of you guys. So if you didn't get it, it's at the police front desk. And through DAAA, we were able to give almost 70 Chromebooks to residents of Harper Woods, senior citizens, 60 and above. And not only do they get the Chromebook, but they also get instructions on how to use it. Because during this COVID vaccination time, so many seniors was not able to access getting their vaccination because they didn't have a computer or did not know how to use the computer. So through the HELM and DAAA, they have received these Chromebooks, and they're also giving them individual instructions. So it's not like they have to go in a group class. They are individually instructing seniors on how to use the Chromebook, which I think is a wonderful idea, because not only do they have the opportunity to schedule doctor's appointments and all that, but they can also Zoom call their family members, be able to talk to each other in virtual meetings and stuff. So it helps them to be connected once again. So I thank DAAA for providing this for our community. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to add to it. I just wish we are still virtual. Our meetings will still be virtual until we can get a better handle on how many of us are vaccinated, and I want to be safe. So it's nothing in the near future. I think it's some kind of March 31st. It may be the Open Meetings Act. They have something, but we're hoping that they extend that, because we can't open up our doors and to anyone, just everyone come in if people are not protected, and we just don't know. So we have a small area, and we just can't take that opportunity, that chance that we could be setting ourselves up for COVID. So until we get a better handle, we will still continue to be virtual. And with that, I need a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Lyons.
I'll make the motion for adjournment.
Okay,
Support.
support by Councilwoman Pye.
Yes, Mr. Councilperson Toussaint actually is muted, but he's been
Oh.
trying to get in his nickel here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
All right, Councilman Toussaint seconded. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, with that, the motion carries, and everyone have a safe and wonderful evening.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a
Have a good
wonderful
one. Happy St. Patrick's Day.